Good morning. And it's a beautiful morning in New York City today. It's bright and it's going to reach 70 degrees. And in my life, I have finished radiation and I am absolutely sure I'm a cancer survivor. So I have been ecstatic all week since I finished all my treatments. On the 6th of April, I will have completed my PET scan to confirm what I believe I already know. And at that point in time, I will probably have a special program on radiation therapy for women who were in my category or cohort as a help to them, since I think I've learned a couple of tricks to survive and survive well. Let's talk today about our policies and our systems and our oligarchy. Russia has an oligarchy, and guess who made it? We did. Our tax laws are so easy to copy. We've made it easy for the rest of the world to create shell corporations, to hide their assets, hide their money, evade taxes, and just never contribute to the societies in which they get great benefits. Putin needed those oligarchs originally, not now. So we've sanctioned these guys, and what do you think they've got? $200 billion stashed offshore. Not a hell of a lot of money, since Putin has already gone through $500 billion, probably 500 billion at this point. It takes 20 billion a day to send off all those thousands of rockets indiscriminately. But Putin doesn't care. He's mad. And wouldn't you agree that a bully who gets angry has the right and the power to get whatever he wants? I wouldn't agree necessarily. For me, I'd make him a pariah. I'd cut off his oil profits. I'd cut off his gas profits. I would embargo his ports. I'd make sure that Putin could make no money off of oil and gas. At this point, Israel thinks they could supply enough gas to Europe by November. If they can do it, God bless. Norway's providing hydrogen power to the Europeans, and they could probably start up with wind and solar just like that. If we're thinking of putting solar on flat roofs of factories and malls, why not do it over planting areas like the indigenous people are doing and increase the shades over our crops? It's a great idea and a good idea to supplement oil and gas that we all know we've got to get off of. So, American policy at work once again. Tax loopholes that the baby boomers must have come up with when they decided international tax was their venue and their ticket to success. Well, I'm sure they did, because Putin's oligarchs, 200 billion. American oligarchs, would you believe, probably 1.3 trillion in assets and tax money that is hidden offshore. When we talk about taxpayers, we talk about the middle and lower classes, Those are the people who are paying taxes, not the ultra wealthy, not the 0.011 of 1%. No, sirree. We give them a break. If we indeed plugged up all those loopholes in the tax law, we'd be getting a bonanza. Or if we agreed that the really wealthy should have all their assets online for every international nation to review, we'd be able to reclaim those taxes that nobody has and which restricts building and economic reforms in all of our countries. I ask you, whose oligarchs have more power today, Russia's or Americans? Seems to me the American oligarch contributes 50% of all monies to all political campaigns, at least 50%. If that's true, we the people, we're not the constituents at all. The real constituents are the money men, and money has no borders and no boundaries, as we found out. Here in America, a lot of our banks are still dealing with Russia. Coke Industries, not Coca-Cola, but Coke, is still dealing with Russia. I don't know in what capacity. I don't know if it's their Procter & Gamble arm, which is humanitarian in a way. The Russian people are scrambling to get the very humanitarian needs that the folks in the Ukraine are missing today. Except they're not being bombed. The humanitarian tragedy that's occurring in Ukraine is happening in Russia, as Russians are running out of drugs and other food supplies. Well, perhaps that will ask them to leverage their anger, not at us, who created the oligarchs, and not at the disinformation, but at the information that's coming to them and saying that all the money that should have gone for economic reforms in Russia itself has gone to commit genocide in the Ukraine. Well, thank you for all those loopholes. We certainly didn't need them. Most of us don't benefit from them, only the very wealthy. Which brings me to the end game in Iran. Is that going to help us or hurt us? We're still negotiating with Iran. Are we thinking that we're getting oil independent of Russia? Russia is a friend of Iran. Russia has built nuclear power plants for Iran. So I don't know. What are we doing? On the one hand, we're sanctioning Russia, and the other hand, we may be giving him a pass. We don't want him to have money to bomb Ukraine into nothing. 2 more weeks, that's all we've got. 2 more weeks before the commodity markets are left in disarray. Won't affect just Russia. Won't affect just the Ukrainian people. It'll affect the globe. It will be a national security problem for the Middle East, for some African nations, because when they don't have bread, they riot. So we should think carefully about our foreign policy. Moving towards China, that's a good thing, because I believe that only the Chinese, and interestingly enough, the Israelis can make Putin see what's right and stop the carnage. He's already mistrusting his inner circle, and there are only 4 or 6 folks in that inner circle. You mistrust those guys, you're on your own. And you know what they say about revenge. When you have revenge in your heart and hatred in your heart, you might as well dig 2 graves, one for the Ukrainian people and one for the Russian people. That $500 billion they could have used like that to make their lives better. It's a false flag that Putin keeps flying, a false flag of saying he does this for the oligarchs. He does this for his own megalomania. He himself is one of the wealthiest people on earth. Of course, I don't think he can get through to his $670 billion that he has stashed away, but he's got other billions. And his family and his extended family, they're in Switzerland. They're probably not even in Russia. So, if you ask me, you got to get Putin where it hurts. And we haven't done that yet. Give Ukraine the missile defenses that they need. Give them the equipment that they need to fight their war, and they will do so. And they will prevent Putin from going further and making inroads into other nations. And hopefully will also stop Putin from getting the urge to use chemical or biological weapons. We all know when he throws up a false flag and says, somebody's got it and somebody's going to use it. The only person who's got it and is going to use it is him. We don't believe his disinformation campaign anywhere in the West. I do hope that the Russian people will stop listening to his disinformation campaign as well and rise up as a nation demanding regime change. It would be good for them and good for the rest of the world. So let's see what happens, folks. I'm going at 11 o'clock. I'm doing this right now, little after 10 in the morning. 11 o'clock, I'll get an update on Ukraine from The Economist. I read all the international papers. The Financial Times has done a wonderful job on reporting what's happening. The Economist has, and the Israeli papers, J-Post or Haaretz, they've got it all there too. So tune in and let's see where we are. I hope peace is in the wind, because no matter what, this is a Pyrrhic victory for Putin. What's the purpose if you commit genocide and there's no infrastructure left, and you may be the one that has to be responsible for the cleanup of the mess you made of the Ukrainian countryside and their cities? And you might be the pariah of the world as well. So I hope Americans will think about our role in the Ukrainian-Russian war. I hope the world will think about it as well, because this war is everyone's problem. God bless you. I am certainly thankful to be here and to be feeling well, and I look forward to meeting everyone again and hearing whatever your comments may be. Please do respond. Thank you and subscribe.